If you're over 55 and you take a blood pressure pill every morning with your coffee, your toast, your first glass of water, I need you to stop for just a moment. Because there's a very real chance, and I don't say this to scare you, I say this because a cardiologist finally said it out loud, that the pill you're swallowing right now is doing almost nothing during the most dangerous hours of your day. Let me say that again, because it took me a while to believe it too. The pill is working. Your body is absorbing it. Your prescription is correct. Your dose is correct. But the timing may be completely wrong. And timing, when it comes to blood pressure, isn't a small detail. Timing is the difference between a pill that protects you and a pill that shows up late to the fire. Here's what almost no one tells you at the pharmacy counter. Between roughly 3 a.m. and noon, while you're still sleeping, still shuffling to the kitchen, still waiting for the coffee to brew, your body goes through something doctors call the morning surge. Your cortisol climbs, your arteries stiffen, your blood actually gets thicker, your heart rate rises before your feet even touch the floor, and your blood pressure, it can spike by 20, 30, sometimes 40 points in the span of a few quiet hours. That surge is not a theory. It's not a wellness trend. It's the reason more heart attacks happen between 6 a.m. and noon than any other window of the day. It's the reason more strokes happen in that same window. Studies out of Harvard, out of the American Heart Association, out of decades of emergency room data, all point to the same uncomfortable truth. The hours you feel safest are statistically the hours your heart is under the most quiet strain. And here is where it gets personal. If you're taking your pill at 7 a.m. with breakfast, that pill often doesn't reach its full protective strength in your bloodstream until mid-morning or early afternoon, which means the exact hours when your heart needs the most shielding are the exact hours the medication is still climbing to full power. It's like sending the fire truck after the fire is already out. I want you to sit with that for 1 second. Not to panic, not to throw away your prescription, but to understand, really understand, that one of the most common habits in American medicine, the habit of taking blood pressure pills first thing in the morning, may be built on convenience, not on science. One large European trial, involving more than 19,000 patients, found that people who took their blood pressure medication at a different time of day had a 49% lower risk of dying from heart attack, stroke, or heart failure. 49%. From changing nothing but the hour on the clock. So the question isn't whether your pill works. The question is, what hour is it actually working for you? And in the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you the exact hour a growing number of cardiologists now quietly recommend, and why almost no one at your last appointment mentioned it. The hour is bedtime, not morning, not with breakfast, not with your vitamins. Bedtime, somewhere between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m., right before you turn off the lamp. That is the window a growing number of cardiologists now quietly recommend for most blood pressure medications. And once you hear the reason, you're going to wonder why no one told you this 10 years ago. Here's the logic, and it's beautifully simple. If the danger zone is between 3 a.m. and noon, if that's when your arteries stiffen, when your cortisol climbs, when your blood thickens, then you want your medication at its peak strength inside that window, not climbing toward it, not catching up to it, already there, already working, already protecting you while you sleep, while you wake, while you shuffle to the kitchen for that first glass of water. A pill taken at 10 p.m. reaches peak concentration in your bloodstream, somewhere between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., exactly when your heart needs the shield the most. A pill taken at 7 a.m. reaches peak concentration somewhere between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., long after the most dangerous hours have already passed. Same pill, same dose, same prescription, completely different level of protection. And this isn't one cardiologist with an opinion. This is what the research is now showing, loudly, in journal after journal. The Hygieia chronotherapy trial, the largest study of its kind, out of Spain, published in the European Heart Journal, followed more than 19,000 patients for over 6 years. Half took their blood pressure medication in the morning, half took it at bedtime. Same drugs, same doses, same patients in every other way. The bedtime group had a 45% lower risk of major cardiovascular events, 49% lower risk of cardiovascular death, 66% lower risk of stroke. Read those numbers again slowly, because those aren't small improvements. Those are the kinds of numbers that rewrite guidelines. Those are the kinds of numbers that, in any other field of medicine, would be front-page news. And yet, most patients over 55 in this country are still being told, by habit, by tradition, by the momentum of how things have always been done, take it in the morning. Now, I want to be careful here because I promised you honesty and not hype. Not every patient should switch. There are real exceptions, and we'll get to them in a few minutes. Because if you're on a diuretic, or if your blood pressure drops overnight naturally, bedtime dosing can actually cause harm. So please, don't change anything tonight. Don't move your pill on your own. Not yet. But I want you to feel, right now, the quiet relief of understanding something your own body has been trying to tell you for years. That the tiredness in the morning, the strange pressure behind the eyes, the heaviness in the chest walking to the mailbox, those weren't just aging. Those may have been the hours your medication wasn't fully with you yet. So the next question, the one your doctor probably won't bring up at your next appointment, and I'll tell you exactly why, is this. How did an entire country of patients end up taking the right pill at the wrong hour? Let me tell you something that took me a long time to understand, and it's not what you think. Your doctor is not hiding this from you. Your doctor is not lazy. Your doctor is not behind the times. In most cases, your doctor is a good, careful, overworked human being who has exactly 7 minutes with you before the next patient walks in. 7 minutes to check your labs, review your medications, ask about your knees, glance at your chart, listen to your heart, and get you out the door before the schedule collapses. 7 minutes is not enough time to rewrite a habit that's been in place for 40 years. Because here's the truth about how medicine actually moves. A study comes out, then another, then a meta-analysis, then a guideline committee reviews it, then the guideline gets updated, then it gets taught in continuing education, then, maybe, 5 or 7 or 10 years later, it filters down into the average appointment. That's not a failure. That's just the speed of a very large, very cautious system. And blood pressure timing? It's caught in that lag right now. The research is here, the guidelines are catching up, but the average appointment hasn't yet. There's a second reason too, and it's more human than medical. For decades, doctors were taught to tell patients, take your pill in the morning so you don't forget, because the biggest problem in blood pressure treatment was never the pill. It was people not taking the pill. Miss a dose, miss 2, miss a week, and you're right back where you started. So morning dosing became the default, not because it was optimal, because it was memorable, and it worked. Adherence went up. Strokes went down, lives were saved. That advice was good advice for its time, but we're in a different time now. We know more, we measure more, we understand the 24-hour rhythm of blood pressure in a way we simply didn't in 1985. And the science has quietly moved on while the habit stayed behind. So when I tell you your doctor never mentioned bedtime dosing, I'm not asking you to be angry. I'm asking you to be curious. I'm asking you to walk into your next appointment, not as a patient waiting to be told what to do, but as a person who has read the research and wants to ask one specific question. And I'll give you that exact question, word for word, in a few minutes. Because here's what I've learned after years of watching people navigate this. The patients who live the longest, who avoid the worst outcomes, who stay sharp and mobile into their 80s and 90s, they're not the ones with the best doctors. They're the ones who ask the best questions. And the best question about your blood pressure medication has almost nothing to do with the pill itself. It has everything to do with what's happening inside your body while you sleep. Right now, while you're reading this, your body is calm. Your heart is steady. Your arteries are relaxed. But somewhere around 3 o'clock tomorrow morning, while you're still deep in sleep, still dreaming, still perfectly unaware, something is going to start happening inside you that has been happening every single night of your life. And after 55, it starts to matter in a way it never did before. It begins with a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is your body's wake-up signal. It's the chemical that lifts you out of sleep, that gets your engine running before your alarm goes off. And it doesn't start at 7 a.m. It starts hours earlier. Around 3 a.m., your adrenal glands, 2 small triangles sitting on top of your kidneys, begin releasing cortisol into your bloodstream in a slow, rising wave. By 6 a.m., that wave has roughly doubled. By 8 a.m., it peaks. And cortisol does something specific to your cardiovascular system. It tightens your blood vessels. It sharpens your heart rate. It tells your liver to release sugar. It's preparing you for the day, for movement, for effort, for whatever the morning might throw at you. That was beautiful engineering when we were 30. At 60, at 70, it becomes a stress test your heart has to pass every single morning. Because at the same time cortisol is rising, something else is happening. Your blood, after 8 hours of stillness, has become thicker, more viscous. Platelets, the tiny cells that form clots, are more sticky in the early morning than at any other time of day. Your arteries, which have quietly stiffened another fraction with every passing year, are less able to expand and absorb the pressure. And your kidneys, which help regulate all of this, are only just waking up themselves. So picture what's really happening. Thicker blood, stickier platelets, Stiffer arteries, rising cortisol, climbing heart rate, sleeping kidneys, all of it quietly stacking in the dark while you sleep. This is why cardiologists call the hours between 4 a.m. and 10 a.m. the witching hours of the heart. It's not folklore, it's physiology. A plaque that's been sitting quietly in an artery for 15 years is more likely to rupture in those hours than at any other time. A clot is more likely to form. A rhythm is more likely to falter. A stroke is more likely to strike. And here's the part that lands hardest. The moment you swing your legs out of bed and stand up, that first movement of the day, the one you don't even think about, your blood pressure can jump another 15 to 20 points in a matter of seconds. That's the moment of maximum vulnerability. That's the moment when, statistically, more American adults over 55 have their first cardiac event than any other moment of the 24-hour clock. Now ask yourself the honest question. If that's the moment of maximum danger, where do you want your medication to be? Still sitting in the pill bottle on the counter? Still waiting for you to swallow it with breakfast? Or already inside you, already at peak strength, already standing guard in your bloodstream while your body walks through the most dangerous doorway of the day? That's the entire argument. In one sentence. Now I want to get specific, because blood pressure medication is not one thing. It's a family of very different drugs, and timing affects each of them differently. Open your medicine cabinet in your mind for a moment. Look at the bottle, and listen carefully, because one of these three names is almost certainly on your label. The first one is amlodipine, Norvasc. It's one of the most prescribed blood pressure medications in America, especially in adults over 55. Amlodipine is what's called a calcium channel blocker, and it has a very long half-life, around 30 to 50 hours, which means once it's in your system, it stays there, it builds up, it smooths out. And for most patients, the timing matters less than with other drugs. But here's the nuance almost no one explains. When you start amlodipine, or when you change your dose, taking it at bedtime helps you sleep through the mild side effects, the ankle swelling, the flushing, the slight dizziness that hit hardest in the first 2 weeks. Bedtime dosing turns those side effects into things your body works through while you sleep, not while you're trying to walk to the mailbox. The second one is losartan, Cozar, or its cousins valsartan, olmesartan, the family called ARBs, angiotensin receptor blockers. These drugs have a shorter active window, roughly 6 to 9 hours of peak effect, and this is where timing becomes powerful. A losartan taken at 7 a.m. is fading by mid-afternoon and nearly gone by bedtime, which means your overnight and early morning hours, the dangerous hours, are the least protected. A losartan taken at 10 p.m. peaks in the exact window when cortisol is climbing and arteries are stiffening. Same pill, same dose, radically different protection. If losartan is on your bottle, this conversation is not academic. This is your chapter. The third one is lisinopril, Zestril, Prinavil, an ACE inhibitor and one of the workhorses of American cardiology. Lisinopril has a peak effect around 6 to 8 hours after you take it, and its protective window lasts roughly 24 hours, but not evenly. It's strongest in the first 12, which means, once again, morning dosing puts the strongest hours of the drug in the safest hours of your day. Bedtime dosing puts the strongest hours of the drug in the most dangerous hours of your day. And for lisinopril specifically, the research on bedtime timing has been some of the most consistent, showing better overnight blood pressure control, better kidney protection, and lower cardiovascular events over time. Now here's what I want you to notice. 3 different drugs, 3 different mechanisms, and in every single case, the argument for bedtime dosing is not marketing, it's not a trend, it's not one doctor's opinion. It's the simple, elegant alignment of when the medicine is strongest with when your body is most vulnerable. But, and this is a real but, there is a group of people for whom bedtime dosing is not just wrong, it's dangerous. There are conditions where switching your pill to nighttime can drop your blood pressure too low while you sleep, can starve your brain and heart of the pressure they need overnight, can cause falls, confusion, and worse. So before you touch that bottle, you need to hear the next part. I need you to hear this part as carefully as anything I've said so far, because the same timing that protects most people can hurt a specific few, and you have to know which group you're in before you touch that pill bottle. The first group is anyone taking a diuretic, hydrochlorothiazide, furosemide, Lasix, chlorthalidone. These are the water pills, and they do exactly what the name suggests. They pull fluid out of your body through your kidneys. Take one at bedtime, and you will be up 2, 3, 4 times in the night, which doesn't just wreck your sleep. It raises your fall risk in the dark, on the way to the bathroom, on stiff knees, in a half-lit hallway. For adults over 55, a nighttime fall isn't a small event. It's often the beginning of a chain that ends somewhere no one wants to be. Diuretics stay in the morning, full stop. The second group is people whose blood pressure already drops significantly overnight. Doctors call this being a dipper, and about 1 in 4 older adults dips harder than expected while they sleep. If your overnight pressure is already falling to 100/60, adding a bedtime pill on top of that natural dip can drop it further, starve your brain of blood flow, and cause dizziness, confusion, even a stroke of a different kind. The only way to know if you're this person is a 24-hour ambulatory blood pressure monitor, a small device your doctor can order that measures your pressure every 20 or 30 minutes for a full day and night. Ask about it. The third group is anyone with a history of orthostatic hypotension, that feeling of getting up too fast and the room going gray. If you already have that, bedtime dosing can turn a morning wobble into a morning fall. It doesn't mean you can't ever switch. It means the switch has to be slow, monitored, and done with your doctor watching. And finally, if you have advanced heart failure, severe kidney disease, or you're on more than 3 blood pressure medications at once, this is not a conversation for a video. This is a conversation for a cardiologist who knows your full chart. I'm not telling you any of this to scare you back into your old routine. I'm telling you because the people this video helps the most are the ones who ask the right questions, at the right time, with the right information in their hands. And in the next chapter, I'll give you those exact questions, word for word. Here's what I want you to do this week. Not next month. Not when you have time. This week. Call your doctor's office and ask for either a phone visit or the next available appointment. And when you get in front of them or on the line with them, you're going to ask 3 specific questions. Write them down. Bring the paper. Read them if you have to. Doctors respect a prepared patient more than almost anything else. Question 1. Given the medication I'm on, would I benefit from switching my dose to bedtime? That's it. That's the whole sentence. Don't argue. Don't cite studies. Just ask the question and let them think out loud. A good doctor will pull up your chart, look at your drug, look at your history, and give you a real answer. Question 2. Am I a dipper or a non-dipper overnight? And can we do a 24-hour ambulatory blood pressure monitor to find out? This is the question almost no one asks. And it's the question that gives your doctor the exact data they need to make the timing decision safely. Most insurance plans cover the monitor. Most doctors can order it that same day. Question 3. If we do switch, how do we do it safely? And what should I watch for in the first 2 weeks? Because a good transition isn't a light switch, it's a dimmer. Some doctors will have you take half your dose in the morning and half at night for a week. Some will have you switch fully but check your pressure every morning and every evening. There's no single right answer, there's only the right answer for you. And while you're waiting for that appointment, start tracking. Buy a decent home blood pressure cuff. Omron and A&D are the 2 brands most cardiologists trust. Take your pressure twice a day, once in the morning within 30 minutes of waking, before coffee, before your pill, once in the evening, around the same time each night. Write it down. A cheap notebook is fine. A phone note is fine. Just have the numbers ready when you walk into that appointment. Because here's the quiet truth about American medicine right now. The patients who get the best care are not the ones with the best insurance. They're the ones who walk in with data, with questions, and with a clear sense of what they're asking for. You've now got all 3. And in the next couple of minutes, I want to tell you what all of this really adds up to. I want to leave you with something quiet. Somewhere in this country tonight, a man in his 60s is going to swallow a pill with a glass of water and turn off the lamp. He's not going to think much of it. He's done it 1,000 times. But that one small choice, that one shift from morning to night, is going to keep him walking his dog next spring. It's going to keep him at his granddaughter's graduation in June. It's going to keep him whole through a morning he never even knew was dangerous. That's what this is really about. Not a pill, not an hour, a decade. The next 10 years of your life are going to be shaped by a handful of quiet decisions almost no one talks about. When you take your medication, what you eat before bed, how you stand up in the morning, whether you walked into your doctor's office with 3 questions written on a piece of paper or with none. You have those questions now. You have the science. You have the exceptions. You have the plan. So do one thing for me before you close this video. If someone in your life, your spouse, your brother, your best friend from work 40 years ago, the woman at church who's been on blood pressure pills longer than you have, if someone in your life is over 55 and taking a pill every morning without knowing any of this, send them this video. That's how these things spread, quietly, person to person, the way real information always has. Take care of your heart, ask the questions, move the hour, and I'll see you in the next one.